I think what's really missed by so much of the Western media is that right now, today, the Chinese yuan and the Russian ruble are one-to-one backed by physical gold. You're bang on, and I think, of course, it has to be. There is no other solution. And I think the thing is, when I hear redeemable, that means it has to be physically redeemable, and so it can't just be an accounting gimmick. It has to be. So therefore, if somebody claims or redeems gold, it means that someone has to buy that gold. It has to be a balance. So, and I think that, for example, right now, and I see that coming because I think what's missed, and I know you are all over this, and we talk about the unit, we talk about all these other things coming on, and there's so much to talk about. But I think what's really missed by so much of the Western media is that right now, today, the Chinese yuan and the Russian ruble are one-to-one backed by physical gold. I can take, if I'm a BRICS member, or if I trade with them, I can hold that currency, or I can just cash it out one-to-one for physical. So what we're talking about is, and they are producers, they manufacture it. So really, if Trump is trying to emulate that, not only the production side of things, but also to back the US Treasury with gold, it makes sense to me. Then you're talking about suddenly this whole unipolar, multipolarity kind of war that's going on. Maybe it becomes a multipolar solution. But this is an interesting thing.
Yeah, so the difference is, to your point, the yuan is now immediately convertible into gold on the Shanghai Metals Exchange in yuan. And they're building their vaults that we've talked about, the multi-jurisdictional vaults. First one in Hong Kong, the next one under construction right now in Saudi Arabia, and then throughout the whole Belt Road. To me, that is the skeletal system of what they're trying to do. And to your point, yes, you don't have to convert to dollars first. So it's trading across the bridge technology, mBridge, which is now the bridge, or the renminbi cross-border payment system, which will then settle imbalances in gold without converting to dollars first. To your point, it's backing the currency. This will not back the currency. They're going to destroy the currency. This will back the treasury. And then eventually we grow our way out and maybe get, our currency act in order once we start to pay down our debt. So one is backing the system. One is backing a currency. I think they both are unique and interesting to go down the rabbit hole and think about it. But one of the things that I found very interesting, to your point about what the BRICS are doing, Andrew, and I haven't heard a lot of people say this, is that, so they came out, China did. Now, first, the key to all this is building all these multi-jurisdictional vaults. Ask Venezuela about that. When their gold was held in the Bank of England, no, we're not going to give it to you. So now you have vaults all over the place where each country will sprinkle gold amongst these vaults in theory to spread out the jurisdictional risk. But one of the things that's interesting to me is China came out about a month ago, Andrew, and said, we have connected our bridge platform, which is in essence mBridge, to the 11 Asian countries, ASEAN, the countries in Southeast Asia. They're operational, and 5 Middle Eastern countries. Now, this represents 38% of global GDP. Now, I want to read something to you, an article that came out of Forbes just the other day. And I made a big deal about this on every single podcast I was on, saying they've connected the bridge network to 38% of global GDP. It's operational. It's working, these Asian countries. And what's really, really interesting is the article that just came out of Forbes. And let me just read this to you. It says, Forbes pointed out that China is now just the third largest trade partner for the United States, and a distant third behind Mexico and Canada. In the month of May, China was less than 6% of U.S. trade, which was the lowest level in over 20 years. Then you have the Asian countries, ASEAN. Again, these are the countries Southeast Asia. And together, they have a population over twice as large as the United States, nearing 800 million people. These are also some of the fastest growing consumer markets in the world with a fast growing middle class. And this group of countries, wait for it, is now China's largest trading partner by far, way ahead of the European Union and the United States. We did 6% of trading with China. They're doing almost 20%. And they're their largest trading partner. These countries in Southeast Asia are now connected to the M bridge and settle imbalances in gold. And I said that they're going to issue it to the Belt Road Initiative. They're going to. You watch. But I just heard something. The BRICS Pay, the gentleman was being interviewed, the guy that designed it, and their CEO. And he said they are right now, this is B2B, this is retail. It's like a credit card where you can spend in any of the BRICS countries seamlessly, B2B or small bank to small bank, consumer to business, whatever, retail. He said, we are now, right now in China, negotiating to roll this out on the Belt Road. And he said, and in a few years, BRICS Bridge and BRICS Pay will be connected. They're going to roll it out to the Belt Road, which is 155 countries, 75% of human population. They're going to roll it out to the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. They're going to roll it out to the Eurasian Economic Union. Why do I say that? Because Sergey Lavrov just came out and said, this technology settles in 7 seconds. It is free from SWIFT interference. SWIFT takes 3 to 5 days. It has a 98% reduction in fees, and we're opening it up to the rest of the world. And by the way, it's not compatible with the dollar, the pound, or the euro. They're opening up to all of these countries. So everyone focuses on the BRICS. Not big enough, Andy. Not substantial enough, Andrew. Well, sorry for the language. I'm just simply saying you now, if Lavrov says you open it up to 90% of human population and allow them to trade outside SWIFT on a retail level and on a central bank to central bank level with imbalances settled in gold at that level through a multi-jurisdictional set of vaults. You see, when the BIS pulled the plug at the 12th hour on Mbridge, embarrassing them the way they did, say we can't be part of a technology that allows any country to sidestep Western sanctions, pretending that they just realized that Russia was the R in BRICS. That's what incentivized all this. So now China is taking the lead, calling it the Renminbi cross-border payment system. They're setting up all of these vaults that will connect with the BRICS vault, that will connect with the vault in Dubai, that will connect with the vault in the new vault being built in St. Petersburg and Moscow. And all of these vaults will be the backbone, and it will be the Renminbi cross-border payment system until maybe Trump is gone. And then bang, you bring the unit in, which they've already agreed on in principle, but the rails are done, infrastructure is done, the technology works, and the vaulting system, which is the key to it all, because you can take possession, to your point, of gold in multi-jurisdictional vaults. The next one is under construction in Saudi Arabia, who was the 5th partner in Mbridge at the end. So they're straddling both sides of BRICS, but you can see where their allegiance is actually focused on. And instead of antagonizing Trump with this BRICS bridge, they call it the Renminbi cross-border payment bridge for now. But it's the same technology as Mbridge. And Lavrov, who's Russian, and the guy who developed BRICS Pay is Russian, they're all connected. They're just not poking President Trump, and that's probably a smart thing. That makes sense?
This is incredible. All those pieces are important to pull together. And I think what we're actually talking about here is the tokenization and the financialization of trillions of real world assets. And as you say, on a trustless blockchain rails, 7-second settlement, you're talking about jurisdictions all over the world. We hear about Brazil being another vault for the SGE. We're talking about Southeast Asia. We're going to these. So essentially, and because gold is fungible, it's the only barter tool that's fungible globally for exactly the same weight of energy at any point, at any time, no matter where you are in the world. So if you've got a few tons of gold in Brazil, and you've got a few tons of gold in Singapore, and you've got a transaction to settle, there may be no need to actually move it T+0 across the floor, because it's fungible. And yes, you can sort out the deliveries later, but it can be settled T+0.
And it's multi-jurisdictional. And you have instant settlement and instant auditing via a transparent bridge platform. So, and then It's in everyone's jurisdiction. It's genius when it is set up. And everyone who are dollar bulls and BRICS naysayers would say the BRICS aren't big enough and substantial enough. And maybe until they are, that's true. But if you open this technology up, as Lavrov says, to the rest of the world except the West because of sanctions, even the guy who's developing BRICS Pay said, we'd love to work with Visa and MasterCard, but we can't. We're sanctioned, so we're not. And so we're doing it everywhere else. But when you open this up to the Belt Road, the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, which is in and of themselves 50% of human population, 35% of global GDP, the Eurasian Economic Union, the Belt Road and the BRICS, you're 90% of human population. As Jim Rickard says, 3 or 4 of the largest nuclear arsenals, the majority of all the commodity production and refining and manufacturing capability, with Vietnam joining in, Indonesia joining, largest deposit of nickel in the world, all of these countries, and all of the countries on the Belt Road are massively aligned with BRICS. They're not in it. Same with the Shanghai Cooperation and the Eurasian Economic Union. They're all aligned. They're not in it. So now you have the majority of human population with the ability on a retail basis with BRICS Pay and on a central bank to central bank process basis with BRICS Bridge to trade outside SWIFT. And the SWIFT will have no idea just how much trade is going. They don't see it. They're not compatible. They're not in it. And settling imbalances in gold instead of U.S. Treasuries, it will be very difficult to undermine or supplant. I think it's quite ingenious, and the way that these folks think is in terms of years and decades, and so they're building an infrastructure that will be very difficult to challenge once it is completed. And you don't hear much about the BRICS because of what happened last. I think they realize we need to just keep our mouth shut, build our infrastructure, call it Chinese. They're not going to go into a war with China. And then when it's all said and done, now it's the BRICS infrastructure, not just China.
Yeah, and I think all the arterial systems have been in place for a long time. I mean China's cross-border payment system, the SIPS, that interconnects with over 4,900 banking institutions. It's growing every day. Now, not many people realize this, not only you do, but the SIP settlement system overtook SWIFT transactions back in April, and it hasn't looked back. So, as you say, all of these things the arteries are there. So now they're building the capillaries and all of the other pieces. And as you say, they think in decades, they think in 500-year plans. It's like, so, we tend to think about, well, a 1-week cycle. I mean, it's ludicrous.